Hey, how's it going? So this is Colin, and we did the seasonal events and style features for the Dram shop. So I will explain a little bit more on the next few slides here. So I'm just going to describe kind of the way we did this analysis. So first of all, we wanted to figure out what events had a big impact on the total amount of net sales. So we did that firstly by basically identifying what these events were that were attributing to the increase in these sales, determining the specific events that were successful, and maybe some that weren't, and then kind of just providing some insights on how these events impact growler fills. I'm actually not going to get into that on this presentation. I'm just going to give you kind of an overall big picture look at it, and I'll explain further. So to figure out what events had an overall impact on the total amount of net sales, we ended up running a linear regression and isolating these variables to figure out whether they had a large impact on the net sales. So we kind of did some specific analysis, which is later on. But we basically took a look at the product sales and how much the Dram shop spent on marketing from Facebook or Instagram. And then we kind of added that specific event that was being promoted into the data set with the amount that was spent on that. And then we calculated the percent of the net sales that were from that specific event. And then we ran the linear regression and identified how much of an impact the net sales were by that specific event, and then we compared the event's success based on its net sales. So here's just kind of a list of the events that we classified. So obviously there's the tap takeover, wine tasting events, the specific style features, so like the Oktoberfest week or the Saison week, multiple events, so if there was two different events going on in one day, and then just kind of other, which was just beer tasting and different specialty beverage tasting events. And then there was the Dram Shop anniversary event, which was just a day by itself. So this slide just shows a graphical analysis of the top events of 2017. But firstly, I just want to talk about total net sales. So the total net sales of 2017 were $511,033.08. So from these events, they generated $43,539.75. So each event here, where it says 52% of the Western cider, that means that 52% of that daily sales amount was from the Western Cider tap takeover, which is a pretty significant amount. So you can see that that was the top event, and then a walk in the Sour Patch came in second, and then the Dram Shop anniversary came in third, with making up 41% of the daily sales from that specific event. So one way to look to see how net sales are impacted by the different event types was to run a linear regression. So this is basically a method that's used to predict a relationship between a response variable and one or two or more explanatory variables. So basically, we're trying to predict a numerical value of y given the value of x. So when we created the model, we use net sales as a response variable, and then for the explanatory variables, we use the type of event, the day of the week, the specific month, and then how much the Dram shop spent on Facebook ads. So the model produced pretty significant results, which means that we can be pretty confident in how valid our results were. And I will explain more in the next few slides here. So this slide, we kind of looked at the average net sales for a Thursday. So holding all the other variables constant, on average, the Dram shop's going to sell more on a Thursday than a Monday. And by taking a little bit of a closer look, we're going to predict that the net sales on a Thursday are going to increase by $724.14, which might not be super surprising, but if you think about it, if you already are boosting sales on a Thursday, maybe it's a good idea to have a certain event on a Thursday so you can maximize the amount of sales and people that are coming into the Dram shop on that day anyway. So based on the regression model that we made, these are the estimated net sales given the certain type of event for all the other variables in the model, like the date, the month, and the amount that were spent on Facebook advertisements. So the lighter blue bars represent the standard error from the estimated total. So as you can see that the Dram shop anniversary has the highest estimated impact on the total net sales, but that one obviously occurs once a year. So then the other events that's going to have a big impact are the tap takeovers, and then coming in second, I believe, is just the multiple events on one day. So yeah, these, you can just kind of see how these compare of how much they're going to impact the net sales. So here we looked at how each specific style feature affects net sales, and our model said that on average a certain style feature of beer will increase the predicted net sales amount by $108.65, which was somewhat significant. So then here we actually looked at the top 3 style feature weeks and then the lowest 3. So at the top, obviously Oktoberfest did pretty well. Stouts coming in second, and then the sours in August, and then the lowest 3 were the saisons, the imperial IPAs, and then the Maybachs. So then we created a ratio to find the percentage of that specific style of beer and how it contributed to the total net sales for that day. So we just basically divided the sales from the beer. So we would divide the daily Oktoberfest sales by the total net sales, and then we'd come up with a ratio for that. And then we basically average those ratios from that week. So from September 23rd to September 30th, that was the whole Oktoberfest feature week. 28% of the total net sales from that week were from those Oktoberfest beers. So then stouts came in second. On average, they were 27% of the net sales for that week. And then sours were about 19% of the net sales. And then I looked at the Maybach beer, and it just wasn't as popular as the other ones. And those beers averaged only about 8% of the total week's net sales. So looking at that, maybe you can kind of just gain an insight to see what beers were kind of a hit with customers and which ones might not be worth doing a style feature on again. So the Maybach, might not want to try that again. So the tap takeover events had the highest estimated impact on net sales. And on average, we predicted that they would increase net sales by $676.36, which is pretty significant. So the day that the Dram shop featured the Western Cider batch, the total sales for that day were $4,518. And then they sold $2,341 of the cider. And that was actually the Dram shop's biggest day for net sales, for daily net sales. So another highly significant event were the wine tastings. So based on the model, on average, we predicted that wine tasting events would increase predicted net sales by $500 or $576.72. So yeah, wine tastings, it can be a good way to boost the Dram shop sales, and then obviously just this could result in higher total net sales for the days that they occur.